Well, Democrats are learning they can't beat President Trump. So I guess that goes back to the old bag of tricks of can't beat him, then we need to cry some rape. Let's get to it. Welcome in, everybody. It's, well, not so much a beautiful Monday here in Texas. It's rather rainy and stormy. Hence why I'm a few minutes behind today because, well, trying to avoid it being so loud in here by hearing the storm because the storm was so loud you would actually hear it in my show. But anyways, get your cup of coffee ready. We're going to break down what happened over the last few days. And what happened is pretty much all that you could predict. Trump declares there's going to be an ICE raid. Then he declaring war on Iran and backing out. And, well, also I guess we're calling rape on Trump again. We're back to that cycle again. I guess that's our new thing, well, old thing, and we're going to keep going down that road. But let's go ahead and start talking about what happened in Iran. What the heck is going on in Iran? Because when there for a little bit, Trump announced because Iran shot down our drone. Trump announced we're going to send an attack, and he decided to fall back against it and pull him back at the last moment. Now, Trump has received a lot of heat on this. However, I actually think he makes sense on why he backed out. It seems like to me, and again, I wasn't there in any kind of briefing or anything like that, and I have no inside information to truly know for sure what happened, but it seems like to me, based on reports I have seen, Democrats are actually trying to goad Trump into attacking Iran for shooting down our drone. Now, keep in mind, about a week before that, or a few days before that, Iran also attacked one of our boats with one of their tiny little third world country boats. We had a ship. They attacked it with one of their tiny boats, which, I mean, what you think of them is like those little pirate ships you see today, typically from Africa. Pretty run down. Well, obviously Iran is being hostile towards us, and some kind of action is going to have to happen, but we're so close to an election cycle that looks like President Trump is about to win his re-election, and it's pretty clear to me Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were actually trying to goad Trump into making the attack on Iran. And why would that be? Because it would not be popular upon the American people. Me, I'm all for it. Iran's showing hostility. I say go attack. However, I get why Trump backed down, because I think he sniffed out that he's being played a little bit. So I think he's caught on a little bit to that, because he's really good with this gut feeling on knowing when there is something feels off, and something felt off. I can see his point of view where he was going. Now, he tried to claim it's because, is it really worth killing that many people over shooting down a drone? I think he kind of got a gut feeling. Something felt off about this, and he was being set up. And I think it was probably a smart move. So keep that in mind. That's probably what happened. But what happened with ICE? So as we know, President Trump announced, which we discussed a couple weeks ago, President Trump announced that he was going to send ICE out to the 10 biggest cities to remove these illegal immigrants here. Now, it wasn't going to be, what we found out, it wasn't going to be every single illegal immigrant that lived here in the United States, but what it was going to be was the illegal immigrants that were already ran through all legal options, which is kind of what I suspected would end up being the case. If you remember in the last episode I did on that topic, he was going after the ones who ran through all their legal avenues to get through to become a citizen, and the judges and the courts ordered that they needed to be deported and sent out of the country because they weren't accepted. There was no more avenues they were capable of taking, and they weren't getting qualified to be a citizen. They never left. That's the problem. So Trump is going to send in ICE, remove the couple million or however many it was. I honestly don't know the official number, and all we can assume is it's probably like 1 million people in these 10 big cities. Now, what happened was Trump then announced on Saturday, because he announced on Friday he was going to do it on Sunday. On Friday, he announced it was going to be launching on Sunday. However, Saturday, he ends up announcing he won't be doing it. He won't be launching into ICE raids into these places. Now, Trump announced on Sunday, and here's his announcement. So this is where things get a little odd, what happened. And I'll break down what happened and what officially is going to happen with these ICE raids. So Trump announced on Saturday morning first, before he announced he was going to back off. Before he announced, he said on Twitter at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, the people that ICE will be apprehend have already been ordered to be deported. This means that they have run from the law and run from the courts. These are people that are supposed to go back to their home country. They broke the law by coming into the country and now by staying. Pretty accurate, that is true. And they should have been deported. Now, Trump then, later on Saturday, around 2 p.m., Trump announced that, Trump announced that he is going to pull back and give 2 weeks. And this is what he said on Twitter. At the request of Democrats, I have delayed the legal immigration removal deportation, for 2 weeks to see if the Democrats and Republicans can get together and work out a solution to the asylum and loophole problems at the southern border. If not, deportation start. Now, Trump has really gotten a lot of heat on this. A lot of heat. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not thrilled he delayed it. I don't think anyone that supports Trump is thrilled because we don't like illegal immigration being here. Now, to his point, because we have to understand there's what we want and then there is reality. Now, yes, reality is we could have deported them. But Trump also has to play politics at the same time, considering he's in a situation now that 2020 is kind of started. So he has to be cautious with everything he does. So what happened is CNN reported Nancy Pelosi actually called President Trump begging him not to deport these illegal immigrants right now and come to the negotiation table. So she was willing to come now to the negotiation table. So that's why Trump said, okay, I'll give you 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks. We're going to get this asylum situation dealt with. Now, what it might have been is Trump is looking at losing a battle to win a war. And that's kind of where I'm going with what his thought process is probably the case. Because how often is it Trump just really gets it far off wrong and is a coward about it? I think this situation, he knew he was going to come back and not actually follow through with it, knowing Democrats would call and want to come to negotiation tables, because it was going to look bad to the Democrats if they were actually getting them yanked out, because Democrats would have done nothing to stop it. Now, though, that they're coming to negotiation table, the Democrats have an option here. You can either hold off on these deportations that he wants to do, or, hold off and then end this loophole asylum, kind of close the border up. Now, if the Democrats are unwilling to play the game, then he's going to deport. And then that makes the Democrats look even worse, because the illegals that are here are going to turn on the Democrats, because it's like, now I'm getting my butt shipped out because you wouldn't close the border. So Trump is actually quite smart on this play, in my opinion. As much as I'd really just say, screw it, go for it, deport them all, I think he's playing 3D chess with the Democrats. Democrats play checkers. Trump has been playing 3D chess on them. And I think they're falling right into his hands. Because pretty much now, no matter what happens, Trump wins. Trump wins. He either gets what he wants at the border, or at least a good enough portion that he'll hold off on these deportations for another day, or he'll deport and then they turn on Democrats. The family members of the illegals staying here that are going to be deported will turn on the Democrats. Because at that point, they would be like, you actually have the ability to stop this. And they did it. And then Trump's eventually going to get what he wants in the border anyways. That's what the Democrats seem to not understand. Democrats are going to lose 2020 these days and explain ballot harvesting because hold on, I think it went offline. Not too sure why. But it looks like we have went offline, so give me all a second. And I will see if I can't get us back up. Not too sure what happened. But we'll see. Okay, hold on. We'll have to go to a quick little break so I can fix this situation and get us back to where we needed to be. All right, back on. I have no idea what just happened, but for some reason we went offline, and that was super odd. It, yeah, so let's get back to where we were and break down what the heck was going on. So, President Trump is playing 3D chess with the Democrats. As we went over, President Trump announced that the Democrats are pretty much stuck with the deportations or fix the wall. And as we described, Trump will be getting what he wants either way. Now, the biggest issue I left off on was who was this harvesting of votes. The harvesting of votes that Democrats are doing, which is pretty much what's going on in California, and why we lost the entire election in the House. So, California has changed laws of ballot harvesting. I'm going to do a big episode on that one day. Ballot harvesting is a big issue. And Democrats, what they're capable of doing is taking they're able to hold on to a bunch of votes and ballots and wait until the results come in. And then, as we saw, because they get about a month to really come up with the results of all the ballots they've harvested, they stashed away, what they're doing is they're filling out the amount they needed to win the election. We saw that probably even in Arizona, and Florida attempted to do it, as we saw in Broward County. Even Kristen Sinema should not be the senator of Arizona. I'm pretty sure that happened. All of Orange County, the congressional House seats, all of those that we lost that were traditional Republican areas, well, that's from ballot harvesting. We need to prevent that and really crack down on that and get rid of this illegal immigration situation. Now, if we fix that, we'll end up having the House, we'll end up having the Senate, and we'll end up having President Trump 2020. And that's why Democrats are scared. And really, there's nothing they can do about it. Trump's going to get that wall at the border because of all this, that we're going to get it because we're going to probably retain all of these areas. And that's why Democrats should just accept the situation. Now, President Trump. Here is where things get interesting. Now, Democrats, they're desperate. They're desperate. They know that they can't beat Trump. They know they can't do it. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Well, they're going to go ahead and go to the old playbook and cry rape. How many times can we see this story happen? On MSNBC, we saw, I'm assuming most of you by this point, because it happened over the weekend, we saw, what's her name? E. Jane Carroll, who was the advice columnist and a writer for Saturday Night Live. She comes in and claims, she wrote a book about this that's coming out called What Do We Need Men For? A Modest Proposal. So she's going on to promote this book. And what it is that's going on is she's claiming Trump raped her. She's claiming 6 men raped her, but President Trump is the most famous. And in this, I'm going to show you some clips. So here's the little background that she's claiming, and I'll show you some clips why obviously this is a false allegation, and they're digging into the same playbook that we saw with Brett Kavanaugh. I don't think this one will stick as well, though, because, well, we've all kind of know it's a lie at this point. And so she's claiming in 1995 in a dressing room at, apologize. I'm going to probably butcher how you say this store because it's a store for the wealthy and the elite. I don't know anything about it. I've never been to New York, and I don't know these big name elite stores. So Bergdorf Goodman, never heard of it, but it's apparently a high-end store that only the wealthy go to. In 1995, President Trump raped her in a dressing room, according to E. Jean Carroll. 1995. So, about 30 years ago, people. About 30 years ago. And coincidentally, soon after Trump announces an election bid in 2020, re-election bid, now the story appears. I think that this is a little bit fishy. A little bit fishy. So, she says, here's what it says in her book, a little segment. The next moment, and this is after Trump made advancements on her, the next moment, still wearing a correct business attire shirt, tie, suit, jacket, overcoat, he opens the overcoat, unzips his pants, and forcing his fingers around my private area, thrusts his, penis, halfway or completely. I'm not certain. Inside me, it turns into colossal struggle. I'm wearing a pair of sturdy black patent leather 4-inch Barney's high heels, which puts my height around 6'1". And I try to stomp his foot. I try to push him off with my one free hand. For some reason, I keep holding my purse with the other, and I finally get a knee up high enough to push him out and off, and I turn, open the door, and run out of the dressing room. And this is all coming out now in 2019, gearing up for the 2020 race. Then she decides to go on. Obviously, that all sounds fishy, I know. But, and you're going to see how crazy she sounds here in a second. Actually, here's another couple facts that should be noted. In 1995, E. Jean Carroll was 52 years of age. President Trump was roughly 48, I think at this point, 48, 49 range. President Trump had a beautiful young supermodel wife at this moment. And now I'm sure Trump cheated on his wife quite often. I don't think anyone denies that back then. I mean, Trump was a billionaire playboy. That's what he did. However, a 52-year-old woman that's not that good looking and kind of crazy, he didn't typically go after the older women. He went after the girls who were about young 20s, very young 20s, and were models. And or porn stars, because let's face it, he probably slept with Stormy Daniels. I don't think we all doubt that, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. Not that any criminal activity. I mean, let's be honest. He's a billionaire playboy. I'd be shocked if he didn't, to be honest. But he did not go and rape a 52-year-old. Let's be honest, people. That doesn't even make sense for Trump. Why would he rape a non-attractive 52-year-old woman when he was 48, when he had a smoking hot wife back home, and likely a bunch of really good-looking 20-something-year-olds that are supermodels and or porn stars on the side? This doesn't add up and it doesn't make sense. Now, she went on MSNBC to discuss this with, well, none other than Lawrence O'Donnell, who is a known lying propagandist for the left and not really a journalist. And she then makes the statement of, he asked her, are you going to report and charge him for this crime of rape? And her response, I think, kind of gives it away to what actually transpired. That, well, he didn't rape her. She says, no, I won't press charges because it would be disrespectful to women at the border who are getting raped. And all of us, while watching, probably are just sitting there saying, huh? That doesn't make any sense. So here goes that clip for you to see how that doesn't make any sense.
Would you consider bringing a rape charge against Donald Trump for this? Why not?
I would find it disrespectful to the women who are down on the border, who are being raped around the clock down there without any protection. They're young women. They've, tried to come into the country. They're, as you know, they're there by the thousand. The women have very little protection there. It would just be disrespectful if I, and mine was 3 minutes. I'm a mature woman. I can handle it. I can keep going. My life has gone on. I'm a happy woman. But for the women down there, and for the women, actually, around the world, in every culture this is going on, no matter high in society or low in society. It just seems disrespectful that I would bring it just doesn't make sense to me.
Now, obviously, this doesn't make sense. Why is it that would have any effect on you calling rape? If President Trump raped you, you have the obligation and the duty to report it. If he raped you, there is no statute of limitations in New York. You have all the legal rights to report him. If he did it, then you have the legal obligation and the moral obligation to report him. If not, kind of seems suspicious. Also, what in the hell does it have to do with women at the border getting raped? It's actually an insult to them. I agree, it's disrespectful that you come on and claim you're raped when you weren't raped just to make a buck off of a book. And then they are potentially getting raped, mainly on the way here through the coyotes that are bringing them across the border. That's disrespectful. But do you guys see how there's nothing that aligns that seems in reality? This woman is not a rational person. She is not a rational person by any means. And the fact that she is allowed to come on MSNBC and spew this nonsense establishes how ridiculous and fake news MSNBC really is. She continues to say, joke throughout this entire interview. She's joking throughout the entire interview. And has a smile and doesn't even seem like she's harmed by this. And I want you to notice, I don't think I put a clip on it, but throughout the interview, you could go to preserveconservativevalues.com. I put on my article, I have the entire 25-minute interview, which, yes, it's garbage. But throughout the interview, she's talking about how he only lasted 3 minutes. He only lasted 3 minutes in a joking way. And she kept saying this. I want you guys to think about that. It was only for 3 minutes. In a joking manner, she says this. Key term here, the key word, only. Only 3 minutes. What rape victim have you known to ever say, well, it was only for a few minutes they raped me, only for a few? Whenever you hear rape victims, they can't even tell you how long it actually happened. Most of them feel it lasts way longer than it actually did. Rightfully so, and it should feel like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it should feel like it's lasting longer than it actually did last because it's a horrific event that you're going through. No one that is a rape victim, no one would ever phrase it as it only lasted for 3 minutes. Now, she continues to joke around on here and says that with an odd statement, she says that she wishes she asked for his tax returns back then to release them. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? Now I'm going to show you that clip. It's odd. So odd. So here goes the clip of her saying she wishes that she asked for him to release his tax return during her rape episode.
Okay. So Lawrence, I wish I had said, I'll tell you my age if you show me your tax returns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been helpful now.
Well, how?
So eventually he says, "Let's go look at the lingerie," and he gets you to the lingerie department.
Lingerie.
He knows where that is, so he gets you right up there. Yeah.
He may have shouted underwear.
Okay.
So up the escalators we go, and at this point in Bergdorf Goodman's, which is the greatest department store on the face, it's cozy, it's posh, they take care of their customers beautifully, and we're going up. The store is not very crowded. It is like 6:37 in the evening, and we walk down to the lingerie department. There is nobody there. There's empty. And on the counter, which was to the left as you enter, this is in 1995, 1996, there were a couple of really fancy lingerie boxes, and there was this really beautiful, filmy, gray, see-through bodysuit. And he snatched it up. He said, "Go put this on." It struck me as one of the funniest things I've ever heard a man say. I said, "You put it on." He said, No, you look good in this. Try this on." And he holds it up against my body. I said, "No, it goes with your eyes. You put it on." And I used to be a writer at Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. So this whole situation struck me as one of the funniest things. Donald Trump is standing there with this filmy thing, and I have the idea that I'm going to make him put it on over his pants. That was my idea. Mm-hmm.
As you go toward the changing rooms.
As we start to move towards it. And he said, after you. So we walked. Here's the other odd thing. The dressing room doors, I only remembered one door, was unlocked and open, which is very unusual for Bergdorf's. There was nobody there, and the door was open. Bergdorf's usually keeps their dressing room doors locked.
Okay. That was odd. I think we can all agree that was super odd. You're focused on the tax returns. You're going over a situation you claimed you were raped by the President of the United States in 1995. But you joke around, "I wish I got his tax returns." Which, by the way, his tax returns wouldn't even get him impeached or anything. Only thing you would see is probably took advantage of every single loophole he ever had. It's odd that she would say that. What victim would say that? The other thing. So here's some things I've noticed that I'm trying to wrap my head around. The left, they live in a delusional world. So I don't know. Maybe she created this story in her head and she kind of ran with it, and maybe she believes it happened to her. Unlikely, but she says she's a Saturday Night Live writer back in that time frame. This is what I personally think happened. I think she was, because she's so proud of this story she's creating of Trump wanted her to wear the see-through outfit. And she wants him to put it on. This is what I was thinking. It would be funny, guys. It would be so funny if I got him to wear it. She clearly is created this story in her head as these writers. They're delusional. Just so you know. I know a lot of writers, actually. Throughout my days, I've known quite a bit of them. These people who are really big into artsy stuff and crap like that I'm not into, they're delusional and weird. They will create these weird realities that they put around themselves. And I think this is what we're seeing with her. And I don't have the clip, and I'm kind of mad because I really thought I had this clip. But there's a clip of her. It kind of shows how weird of a person she really is. I forgot. It's, again, I put it on my webpage. You can go find it. I did forget to put it in. She's an odd woman. A very odd woman. Now, MSNBC, they are a propagandist, well, not really a news outlet, just a propagandist leftist station. MSNBC, during this whole Joe Biden situation of, is he favored of segregationists, and he bragged about how he worked with segregationists. Well, Joe Biden then was discussed on MSNBC, where this reporter is talking about the segregationists that Joe Biden was. The reporter was Casey Hunt, and she referred to the two segregationists that Joe Biden was trying to be friendly with. She described them as Republicans. So here is the quick clip of her calling them a Republican. The two segregationists as Republicans. In which, obviously, as we all know, segregationists were exclusively on the Democrat Party. So here that goes.
Going forward as well.
Something certainly to keep an eye on. Steve Kornacki, thank you as always, my friend. I really appreciate it. Still to come, Joe Biden references his relationships with two former Republican colleagues at an event in New York City. The only problem? They were both segregationists. Plus, acting secretaries, they are all
The only problem is they're Democrats, not Republicans. Notice how MSNBC does this, how they do this, how the left does this. It seems like the mistakes they always make are always one-sided. It always goes against the Republicans and favors the Democrats. Those are two Democrat candidates in the Democrat Party. Let's not forget, the Democrats and Republican Party never switched, and she's going with this delusional fantasy world thinking, well, if they're segregationists, they must be Republican, even though desegregation was a Republican stance, and the Democrats violently opposed it. The party's never switched, people. The party's never switched. I did an entire episode, 15 minutes of debunking the party switch. Democrats had Robert Byrd, who was like a grand wizard or dragon, whatever the heck you call them in the KKK, high-ranking member, Robert Byrd, who is the Senate leader of the Democrats, until 2010. Robert Byrd was in the Senate for the Democrats. Joe Biden referred to him as a mentor. Hillary Clinton called him a mentor. Even Obama praised him. Parties never switched, people. Parties never switched. But they go with this delusion. And this is propaganda we're seeing time and time again. Now, Joe Biden, Joe Biden is never portrayed accurately. Now, Joe Biden, a lot of people on the right try to defend Joe Biden, actually, and I kind of hate it. They say he's not a racist. No, this guy's a bleeding racist, okay? Joe Biden is a racist. Let's not try to give him that benefit of the doubt that he's not racist. He is a racist. He loved segregationists. He supported segregation. And Joe Biden made a lot of racist comments. So here's a clip from Campus Reform, and it's phenomenal, where they're going around asking students who said claiming this was, well, who said the comment, and they all think it's Trump, and it's actually Joe Biden racist statements. So here goes that clip.
I'm Cabot Phillips with Campus Reform. Today we're at Marymount University reading offensive quotes to students and asking them if they think they're Joe Biden's or Donald Trump's. What they don't know is that all the quotes are actually Joe Biden. What will his supporters say when they find that out? Let's ask them. Who would you vote for in the presidential election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden?
I would probably have to go with leadership, which is Joe Biden. Personally, I would go for Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
I have a few quotes for you here. I want you to guess who said them between Donald Trump or Joe Biden, all right? Somewhat controversial quotes from the past. First quote, you cannot go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. Who do you think said that?
Trump.
Trump.
That sounds like a Trump quote.
Ooh. That's a big yikes. But I might say Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Next up, this was to a largely African-American audience. Quote, if my opponent wins, they're going to put you all back in chains.
Trump again.
Wow. I still think that's Donald Trump.
Oh, definitely Trump.
Trump.
Donald Trump.
Joe Biden.
Next up, this was about President Obama. He called him, quote, the first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean.
Probably Trump.
I'll go Trump again.
Who do you think said that?
I think Trump said that.
Donald Trump.
What if I told you that all of those are actually Joe Biden?
All right, there it is.
Is that surprising?
Yeah, very.
That's crazy.
Is that surprising?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Oh, that's bad.
Is that surprising to you?
Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty racist, so it's not really good.
Ah, well, that's surprising.
That's really surprising.
Why is that surprising?
I've never heard any of those things before, so the fact that you told me that, now I'm like, damn, is he really who he say he is?
I don't think that's something I want to really support.
Would this potentially impact your vote?
Of course.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, like, since I thought all that was Trump, like, I thought, like, that was going to be a slam dunk, but apparently, you know, I got to reconsider that. So I'll just look more in depth, really.
Would these quotes potentially lead you to another candidate?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, absolutely.
Personally, probably. Like, I would have to really do my research.
Yeah, I think it would.
Would these quotes impact your potential support of him?
Yes.
I'm surprised.
Why is that surprising?
Because then you hear a lot of media, you know, saying Trump usually is the one targeting and making fun of the other classes. But then you see Joe Biden making some executive decisions when he was vice president that you didn't really see in television. So I guess to a point, I guess media does play a role.
I'm Cabot Phillips with Campus Reform. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to donate to help us make more videos just like that, you can click right here. And if you want to be the first person to see all of our new content, click the subscribe button right here. Please, click one of them. Doesn't have to be both. One or the other. Okay, thanks.
Now, obviously, those are statements we on the right have known about forever. We've known about this nonstop. But the left, they don't ever hear this. They never hear about it. Which has to drive you nuts. These kids don't realize how racist their people are that they support and how unracist Donald Trump actually is. I don't understand how they get away with this. It's interesting. I always love watching their eyes open to see, whoa, didn't know they said that. Now, this racist storyline keeps going with the Democrats. They try to really beat this over the head, even though they have the racists. Condoleezza Rice was interviewed again. NBC is involved. And they tried to push this race narrative on her, like, oh, Donald Trump has created a more racist environment today than it was in the past. And Condoleezza Rice does an amazing job just shutting it down, like, no, absolutely not, stop it. So here goes Condoleezza Rice just shutting it down on NBC.
There are people who will say it feels worse now when we're talking about race, or it just feels like a divisive environment.
It sure doesn't feel worse than when I grew up in Jim Crow, Alabama. Okay, so let's drop this notion that we're worse at race relations today than we were in the past. Really? That means we've made no progress? Really? And so I think the hyperbole about how much worse it is isn't doing us any good. We still have, this country is never going to be colorblind. We had the initial original sin of slavery. It's still with us.
So for people who say, you know what, it's top down, it starts with the president, it starts with the words that he speaks.
Come on, all right? I would be the first to say we need to watch our language about race. We need to watch that we don't use dog whistles to people who, but when we start saying, oh, you know, it's worse today, no, they're not.
Condoleezza Rice does an amazing job of shutting it down. The left, they have no room to try to bring Condoleezza Rice into this. Condoleezza Rice was shamed by the left. When she went to go speak, I forget which university it was, but a few years back, she went to go speak at a university, and they protested her. They protested her, claiming she's a racist, like a white supremacist. Something crazy like that. And so she just said, no, I'm not going to come because if they don't want me there, then screw it. And obviously it was a small portion. It was just the radical left. She's a smart woman. But it's ridiculous, this narrative they try to spin that, oh, it's more racist under Trump. No, race relations did get worse under Obama. They've actually improved. Statistics are showing race relations are actually improving under Trump. As much as the media is trying to spin it to make it seem like there's a lot of divisiveness, it's coming from them, not us. Them. Because they're creating this fantasy world of chaos when there isn't chaos. And that's why the left is always so angry. Because all they see is chaos, but it's false narrative chaos. We have a watch out on this, like this propaganda in our classroom. Now I'm going to show you a clip of a professor that kicked his student out of his class because he was saying there's only two genders. There's not more than two genders. There's a man and a woman. That's it. And the professor kicked him out. And they get this heated argument. Now, this is in Scotland. Keep in mind, it's not the United States. But still, it does happen here in the United States. That I can promise you. You are not allowed to speak against leftist narratives in your classroom. I've been in many heated debates with professors. Trust me. I know. You do get outcasted for it. Now, here goes that clip, and it's kind of heartbreaking to have to listen to this, that a student is not allowed to say scientific fact, that there's only man and woman. And here goes that.
You're entitled to your opinion.
If I am, then why would you kick me out of class? It's not very inclusive of
Could I finish
opinion.
my sentence, please? Not very inclusive. No, I'm sorry. What you were saying was not very inclusive, and this is an inclusive school.
Yeah. How was what I was saying?
Because I was saying that what's wrong with the website is that there are more than one gender in this country.
That's your opinion.
That is my opinion, and that is an opinion which is acceptable in the school. I'm afraid yours, which you're saying that there's no such thing as anyone other than male or female, is not inclusive.
Scientifically, there are just two genders. Depending on what
I get it.
gender
But you're choosing to make an issue of this, because I said, are you really going to hear? That was your opportunity to keep quiet.
You made the issue with it on the website. You said, oh, this website doesn't have more than two genders.
Murray, you were clearly given an opportunity not to pursue it. You chose to do so.
Yeah, because I think it's
You
silly.
chose to do so. Yes, that's the key question. You chose to do so.
I think it's silly to have anything other than two genders. So
Okay.
Anything else is a
Could you
personal
please
opinion.
keep that opinion to your own house? Thank you. Not in the
So
school.
you get to put your opinion out in class, and my
No,
opinion.
I am not.
My opinion has to stay inside
I am
my
not
house.
putting my opinion. I am not putting my opinion out. I am stating what is national school authority policy. Okay?
Well, it's not scientific whatsoever.
Not every policy is scientific, Brian. Not every policy is scientific, Murray.
And you can't come out here and say that I'm not being inclusive when someone says
I
something you
didn't say.
disagree with.
I said what you were saying was not being inclusive.
You kicked me out of class. If you want to have a discussion about it, we could have had a discussion. You don't have to kick me out of class.
I'm sorry.
Waste 30 minutes of my time, where I could have been down revising, doing something else. Instead, I state something I believe in. You kick me out of class for 30 minutes. I'm waiting on the.
Take this somewhere else, Murray. You can make an official complaint.
I'm not going to make an official complaint.
Why not?
I just think it's.
I know what you think, and I know what the authority thinks. I know what the authority's point of view.
Well,
it's very clear that we make no discrimination on the grounds of various.
I wasn't making discrimination. I'm simply saying there are two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Anything else is a personal identification.
I'm sorry, but you chose to make an issue of making a point which is contrary to policy.
You made the issue when you complained about the website, sir.
Yes, and I made it in a way.
And I responded to that by saying, but there are only two genders. I never made the issue.
Okay, I am not going here. You can choose, but you're making bad choices.
I'm making bad choices, okay.
Well,
can I take my bag and go to the research area and start revising it?
You can stay here.
Okay, I'll stay here. Thanks for wasting my time.
Murray, I am not allowed to tell you how much of my time you have wasted.
Okay. So.
Policies don't always support scientific fact. The insanity, people. The insanity. The kid was 100% right. The fact is, there's only man and there's only woman. And if the other aspects that the left wants to claim is just self-identification. There is a difference. Just because you identify one way doesn't mean we create a new gender for it. The left has lost their mind. Fascism is here, people. Fascism is here. You can't step out of groupthink thought. You think differently than what the radical left wants, and if you can't keep up with their ever-changing, quick changing on what's offensive and what isn't, you're outcasted. It's time to stand up to that, people. We can't allow this to happen. Can't allow this to happen. However, due to technical difficulties today, I'm going to have to cut the episode down because I had a lot more I wanted to talk about, like Bernie Sanders wanting to propose Medicare for all to illegal immigrants, but we'll have to go into tomorrow's episode. Because I told you in the beginning, there was a storm, and I think that kind of made the glitch happen. Sorry you had to sit through a few minutes of me trying to figure that out. However, I will catch you guys all tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. Have a good day, and see you then.